Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Magpie Circle. And we're joined by, I think it's fair to say, Notts County or former Notts County managerial royalty. A man knows how to win the National League title with Barnet, who are our visitors tomorrow night on Tuesday. And he'll be running the rule over Notts County versus Wrexham. What do we need to do this time to get over that finishing line in top spot? And also, Chloe Page joining us. Chloe will be telling us how she hot-footed it from Burnley at 3 o'clock on Saturday to get there minutes before kick-off and see that victory over Chesterfield. Welcome, Martin. Welcome, Chloe.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Martin. Hi, Paul. It's nice to be back.
Right now, then we're instantly because we have to keep people on their toes, don't we, Martin? So we're instantly going to put Chloe on a medal here. So when we were leaving the stadium with Chloe's granddad after the Chesterfield game on Saturday night, bumped into them, and I said to Chloe, "Oh, come on the show." We've got Martin Allen, and who did you say was your favourite manager you'd always wanted to meet, Chloe?
Might have been Martin himself, so happy to
You're just saying that, Chloe.
I wish I was joking. No, definitely.
You're just saying that. Oh my God.
Out of my 12, maybe more than that, supporting them. It was a good time.
Yeah, we did have a good time. There's no doubt about that. Just a shame them idiots ended it.
Wow. That's another story, isn't it?
Yeah, long one.
Unfinished business, do you think, Martin, at Notts?
No. It's moved forward. It's doing really well. Manager's in a good place. He's doing really well. The good crowds, new owners, seems to be rolling in the right direction. Obviously, I look and watch from afar to take on board what's happening and who's signing and who's getting rid of and the results and what's being said about the performances. I take an interest in it, of course. I'm always going to have a special interest in, in that club. And, everybody knows I don't like the lot across the river. So, I love it every time they lose, every other week or every week. So that's all good.
Oh dear, you endear yourself to the Notts County fans so easily, and of course you went into the river, didn't you, before one of them games?
Yeah,
as you do.
Well, I saw it as a challenge. It's been well written and well documented. I saw it as a challenge. I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning. I was living up near that castle, the park in that little area. I had a little flat up there, and I don't know. It was a weird magic moment, I guess, that I just drove down, and I wanted to go onto the enemy territory, and I wanted to plan a route in and explain to the players there's no fear, and when we go, we are going to go and invade. I was going to say a swear word there, but we were going to go and take them, and we'd have no fear. We'd go in with great self-belief and be brave. And that's why I dived in the river. It was freezing cold and lost me breath a little bit, but it was I want to swear, but I better not.
Not in front of Chloe.
Let's flipping go and get them, and let's flipping take them. And it was said with passion, drive and desire, and let's have no fear, and let's make it a special night. And God bless that team that played that night. We were absolutely fantastic. And, we were a penalty away from going through. And unfortunately, we missed that penalty, which would have been a very, very special night, and definitely one where we'd have put our flag down that we were in town, if you know what I'm saying.
How old were you then, Chloe?
Well, it was one of my first away games. So what are we talking, 2011 time? So I'd have been like 10, but I don't think I'll ever forget that Wes Morgan goal. He would never do anything like that ever again. And it was bound to happen against us. But like you say, we were brilliant that night. And it's a game I'll never forget.
Yeah, Chloe, I do some work for the Premier League, and occasionally on match, I have to go down into the tunnel area, And I work for the Premier League, making sure the referees and their assistants are all well looked after, to make sure that everything is in good order. And I have to do that well before the game, during half time, and then after the game. Anyway, after one of the games, I was stood in the tunnel at a Leicester game, and 20 yards away, walking towards me, was this lovely, nice guy with a big smile on his face, with these lovely big white teeth. And he was walking towards me, and I can feel myself getting into a bit of a rage. And the closer he was getting towards me, he was smiling more and more. As he was getting closer to me, I was ready to. As he got about 3 yards away, I said, "Where's you bastard? How did you hit that shot like that and find the top corner?" He said, "Martin, I'll never hit a shot like it." I said, "You spoilt my night. I cannot still. I'm seeing you now. I don't even want to shake your hand." I did shake his hand, of course, because he is a proper decent person and he's a very good footballer. But that night he hit that shot, I could not believe it went in. He normally hits the corner flag, doesn't he? Yeah, enough said about him.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ironies of football, Martin, I don't know whether you'll be aware of this. Wes was actually on Notts County's books. Wasn't on Forest to start with, and from the age of about 7, he was with Notts through to about 13, 14. And Notts then ran into cash problems. It's a few years before you came, and they closed the academy down. So Wes got released. Forest picked him up, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. Well, he's a proper nice bloke. He's not flash. He's just a decent professional. He's had a great career, but that goal against us was sickening, wasn't it?
I'm just going to read a few because we had loads of observations out on our message boards as the show's gone on. So I'm just going to read a few of these out. Then I want to come to you, Martin. You'll get a word in now and again, Chloe. Okay, bear with us. Oops, my Apple iPhone is talking to itself. Apologies. Okay, questions-wise. Ian Cooksey has been reading up on the rule book of Law 12 regarding incitement, gesturing or acting in a provocative, derisory or inflammatory way. By the letter of the law, Dobra should have been booked. This relates to Dobra scoring and shushing the Notts fans afterwards while he was on a yellow, but nothing further happened to him, or at least it didn't till he fell over or stumbled over on the way to the dugout at half time. More messages about him that we won't read out. Saturday was a watershed Notts County moment, says Nigel Cameron. Winning ugly, as Moi would say, says Ian Cooksey. Hello, everyone from Karen Knight. Nigel Cameron, Saturday wasn't ugly, it was gutsy and beautiful. I would agree with that, Nigel. Hi, gentlemen, says Margaret Grant. Karen Knight, whatever way you look at it, it was magnificent. Chris Gosling, evening all. Everyone still buzzing from Saturday, question mark. Stephen Newton feeling so proud of Notts County. Great Saturday night at the pub. Yeah, I think my lad, he knows how to celebrate, Martin. Harry, as you know, Harry, he got in at I think it was about 1:30 he got back from Chesterfield, so I don't know whether he walked or what, but anyway.
How old is he now?
He's 25 now.
He probably had a bird, didn't he?
No, I doubt it, to be honest.
That nice young boy that I know.
Absolutely. I always remember when when I was showing you around Nottingham. Do you remember we got into your Martin Allen kind of A-team mobile, that Chrysler van with the sliding doors? Do you remember it? Yeah, and you had Monty the Black Labrador. Yeah, and Monty was in the back seat with a little bowl of water and some bonios, right? And I think Harry was in the front seat. I was in the back seat. We shut the sliding door, just like the A-team, Chloe, and we go over the river. It's the first time Harry was like, I don't know, 12 at this time. We're going over to Trent Bridge, and Martin winds the window down and points out the window. He points to the forest ground. Harry, what do we think of them? I don't know. It's just, I tell you what we think of them. And out comes the V sign out the car with his fingers to the Forest ground. Welcome to Nottingham. Anyway.
Yeah, Paul, you're going bald, aren't you?
Look there.
You are, aren't you?
Mind you, I'm not dyeing my hair like you, am I?
Can you imagine me dyeing my hair, Gordon Bennett? And never going to happen.
Hey, I'm liking them glasses. They almost make you look, mature and intelligent.
I just can't see if I don't have them.
Oh dear. Right, we'll read a few more in a minute.
I can still see your bald patch, though.
Right. I tell you what, when you gave me that interview for my book a few years ago, I thought you summed up what being a football fan is all about. And you spoke when you used to go to Reading, and Reading was like, you spoke about going to a football match was like a cathedral, where you made worship. Yeah. So Chloe, tell us, because Chloe works as Mad Knots fan, but got a job at Burnley. So she works in the ticket office at Burnley full time now. So it's Saturday, match day. Burnley are at home and Chloe's working. Notts are away at Chesterfield, 5:20. So Chloe, tell us what you did on Saturday.
Well, I shut up shop as quick as I possibly could.
So you're selling tickets at Burnley before their game all day.
All day. So I was there from 9 o'clock in the morning. Literally had my stuff in the car. They were still like going in, the fans. So I'm like pushing through the crowd to try and get to my car and just think get away. And
so you've knocked off at 2:59 at Burnley, yeah?
Yeah. So 3 o'clock, got in my car and I was straight down the motorway, parked at the Premier Inn and then got there about 5:05 and just ran to the other side of the ground because my granddad and my dad were waiting for me because they had my tickets. So they couldn't go until they got there. So I've got them texting me like, where are you? And sprinting down the road. But I had to get back for it. I mean, everybody knows how good a derby day is. Obviously, we talk about Forest. And I mean, our derby's been with Chesterfield for the past 4 years. We've been in the same league. We've obviously had Mansfield. Everybody gets the games. And we don't have much luck against Chesterfield away from home. We were saying me and my granddad were saying we hate going there because you just kind of expect a result, but it was just something different on Saturday, and I was so pleased to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, it was a great day all round. Peter Minkley sums it up well. Martin Allen, a manager that used to bring a smile to your face even when we lost. There we go. There we go.
That's a nice thing to say.
Now then, we've got some Barnet fans on here tonight. We've got some Wrexham fans on here tonight, Martin. It's I suppose it's a unique National League title race in the sense that two clubs are on course to get 110 points at the end of the season. You've got the whole Hollywood razzmatazz around Wrexham. As someone who's won a National League title with Barnet, how do you see this playing out?
Well, I've had a good look at it this afternoon, and it's a 2-horse race. There's no doubt about that. Have Wrexham played too many games? Yes, they've got a big squad, but yes, I do think it will have an effect that they are going to play so many games in one season. Injuries will kick in, fatigue will set in, and often after a big cup run, teams fade. They don't do it purposely, but the energy, the enthusiasm, the motivation, to get up for a big game at Sheffield United, and then I think they played Altrincham just after. That was a real tricky game in my mind. So I think it's going to be difficult to Wrexham to maintain that high level that have come with playing so many FA Cup games and so much coverage in the media. I think it's going to be very difficult for them. And I know they've got 2 games in hand, I think, over Notts. Is that right?
Yeah, and 3 points behind and a slightly better goal difference. So effectively,
I would probably say that Notts County would be favourites because of the amount of games that they've got to squeeze in and they've got to fit in. It's going to be really, really tough for them, for Wrexham.
I mean, do you look at it? I mean, how would you compare what you think the standards moved on from when you went with Barnet, or is it a small number of clubs at the top that Wrexham and Notts are just that little bit better?
There's some decent sides in there. There's some decent sides, decent managers, decent football clubs. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to actually get between them because Notts County have only lost one game all season. I mean, that's a fantastic record. And once you've got that resilience, Wrexham have only lost 2, so it's gonna. How many times have got to play each other?
Got one more game to play at Wrexham. It's on Easter Monday.
See, that's going to be a massive game for both clubs and probably a defining game. But it will go right to the wire, and it will end up, and you're the better judge, you and Chloe, rather than me, which centre forwards of the 2 teams are going to get the most goals, because they're going to be games where you do not play well. And I heard a minute ago, before you asked me that question, one of your fans saying it was a gritty performance. Between now and the end of the season, this will not be pure entertainment football. You are grinding out performances where you've got to get a clean sheet and you hope your forwards win. They must win games, and that pressure does get to the players. It does. It's normal. So the entertainment side of it and the flair, and it goes out of it a little bit, and it's more of a attrition and getting the job done over the next period of time. And that's where the centre forwards that nick that 1-0 win, that just nick that one touch finish near the end, that are going to take the team up back to the Football League.
Very interesting. Have you seen much of Macaulay Langstaff or not? I mean, the background to him is that he didn't really have what you would call any academy background. Played locally in the northeast, Stockton, like Neil Bishop. Remember Neil? Played for Stockton, lower leagues, top scorer in National League North with Gateshead, and really been an absolute revelation this season. And I guess, to be fair, there's probably not a lot in it between Wrexham's top striker Mullin and Langstaff, both well into the 20s already. Have you seen much of Langstaff at all, or not, Martin?
No, not at all. But I've seen his record and I've seen where he's come from. And these are the sorts of players that I like and what I try to build around, and have a mixture of a few senior players that have seen it and done it, and have younger ones on crappy money that are hungry to be successful and hungry to climb the ladder and would run through brick walls, which is what you need in that division, especially any division, but especially that one. It's such a long grind of football matches. And the fact that Notts County were brave enough to go and get him and pluck him, it reminds me a little bit of Akinde, who I took from Alfreton to Barnet. I mean, he was part-time. He was earning like crap money. Blimey, when we signed him for Barnet 2 or 3 years later, I think we sold him for 700,000. And I had to plead with the owner of Barnet. We must sign him. We've got to get him. And he was the one that won us the league. With all due respect to my other players, I don't mean that in any disrespect for the rest of my players. We played away at a place called Welling on a Saturday afternoon. It was crappy weather. We were awful. Our goalkeeper made 2 or 3 good saves. Our fans over the far side never stopped singing. And with 10 minutes to go, Akinde, the ball went over the top. He half shoved the centre back, and what I'd call a toe ender. You know, where the centre forward just stretches his foot out and just nudges it past the goalkeeper, who was running out to sort of about 5 yards outside his box. And the ball took ages to trickle slowly along the grass over the 6-yard box white line. and then it went over the goal line by about half of like this much. We won 1-0. I think it was our only shot. We were so shit. And afterwards in the dressing room, I knew we were going to win the league. I knew we were going to win it. We celebrated in the dressing room. I said, you were so shit and we've won. Just get ready for next week. Come on, let's go again. It's a magic feeling when it happens, and it will happen. And it's the players that score that goal that I just described that are going to win you the league and make you a champion.
You mentioned, and I would totally agree with you, about it's not always going to be massively entertaining football between now and the end of the season. Grinding things out. I think at the minute Wrexham are on for 112 points. Notts are on for 110. Do you think both teams are going to carry on winning the vast majority of games and potentially both of them being 100 points plus?
No, I doubt it. I think from what you said before, you asked me a couple of questions, Paul. You said that the previous performance wasn't a great performance, but we won and we were gritty. That is what it's going to be like. We all have an interest in the Premier League, and Arsenal have been playing with freedom. Their young players have been playing with skill, quality, confidence. They've been out brilliant to watch Arsenal. The last two games, when they've been top of the league and 6 or 7 points clear, Arsenal have had 2 draws. So all of a sudden, that we're going to win it. It changes because the whole mindset does change when you get into that position, and that's probably why Man City, I would also say, would be favourites, because they've seen it and done it, and they've been through that mental process. And I suppose on that front, looking at it mentally, you would probably say that Wrexham would be used to the bigger games, needing the big performances because they've been experiencing it in the cup matches. Can Notts County get to that level when it really matters? Only time will tell.
Well, if you were in charge of Notts, Martin, in this, hypothetically, in this situation, you're kind of almost, although we're a big team and all the rest of it, we're kind of viewed as a small club compared to Wrexham. Will Ferrell flies in from Hollywood to cheer Wrexham on at the weekend. You've got the Hollywood millions and all of those sorts of things. What, as a manager at Notts, what would you be trying to do? Would you be trying to create one of these kind of like siege mentalities, try and turn the fact that Wrexham money no object to your advantage? Psychologically, how would you be playing it?
Paul, at the time at Barnet, in North London, we didn't have a big playing budget. We were probably in the top 6 to 10 playing budget. And we were playing against Bristol runners-up Rovers.
Oh, right, okay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when it came to this, what's this transfer deadline, which was a week or so ago, I'd bring up about certain players that I thought I could bring into Barnet, and the agent would say, he ain't coming to Barnet, he's going to Bristol runners-up Rovers. And I say, why don't you come to us? Can you pay this amount of money? And if you can pay this, we'll come to Barnet. And he'd tell me the salaries that Bristol runners-up Rovers were paying. And there was no way I could get, or we as a football club, Barnet, could get anywhere near those numbers. Those numbers were like out of this world numbers for the salaries that Bristol runners-up Rovers were paying. So we did have a siege mentality, and we did only have, I think, in our squad, 18 players. We didn't have anybody else. We kept it that all our money would go into a small group. And if we got injuries, we'd just have less subs, or we'd bring a couple of the youth team players up. But we'd make sure that we had sort of 15 or 16 players that could all play in the starting 11. And they all could. And I rotated it round. I think 5 or 6 of them played every game, but then the other 5, they rotated around, so everyone stayed happy, and we had a strong nucleus and team spirit, and we won away at Bristol runners-up Rovers. And when they came to us with a month or so before the end of the season, and they had to beat us, we beat them again at 1-0 at home. I think we only had one shot, but we beat them one. We had a clean sheet, and all this money they'd spent, we beat them again. So it's not the big spenders. Will Ferrell, he don't play football, does he? He don't play, does he?
I don't think so. He might do. I don't know.
What's he got to do with it? What's he got to do with it? He's got nothing to do with it. Who cares who's sitting in the stand? And the other guy from Hollywood, who's supposed to be an actor, I don't know any actors, as you probably ain't got a clue about actors, you know, and Disney and TikTok and all that. I don't know what TikTok is. What's that got to do with going over the white line and playing football in a match? Absolutely nothing. They might be making a lot of money for it. I don't know if they put adverts on it for Coca-Cola or something. I don't know. Or Welsh Lamb. I've no idea. I really don't care. It's what they do and what shows they're in, television shows. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not interested in, because they don't go out and play football. And for Phil Parkinson, it's keeping his players focused. And they are a big club. They have a great history, but so also do Chesterfield. So also does Notts County. And it's all to play for. It really is. It's going to be a great end to the season.
Chris Gosling actually says on the message board, "There's infinitely more pressure on Wrexham than Notts. We should use that, excuse me, to our advantage. No one, not even Notts fans, expect us to win the league. Hope more than expectation." Yeah, you see, I disagree with that, Chris, and I don't know what your views are on Martin on the psychology of things. If you look at budgets in the National League and who's won the National League for the last 10 years, I doubt possibly Stockport had a bigger budget than Wrexham last year. Possibly. You've been close. Other than Stockport winning it last year, I don't see any direct correlation between the team that spent the most money winning the National League title. You know, and you know what I'm like. You know, I have no ability, Martin, but I am competitive, and you know, I'm sure you would be like this in the Notts dressing room. I'm sure Luke Williams is. I'm sure Ryan Harley is, because he's a winner with Exeter and about a few promotions on his CV. But you know, you go out believing you can win this league, because, as you just said, everything else off the pitch at Wrexham is just noise, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. You know, Will Ferret, what's he got to do with it? You know, what have they got? These people got nothing to do with it. And what we did with the Gillingham, where we were champions at Gillingham in Division 2, and with Barnet champions of the conference, within the dressing room, when the door was shut a week before the first game, we had a meeting before training. I showed them how many points we would need to win the league. I showed them how many points we would need to avoid relegation. I then showed them how many points we'd need to get into the playoffs. We celebrated when we got enough points. With the door closed, we celebrated when we had enough points to avoid relegation. It was our first goal achieved. First target. But it was done privately. We were top of the league for the whole season, from start to finish at Barnet and at Gillingham. To the players in the dressing room, I'd shut the door. I just knew we were going to win the league. The players knew we were going to win the league. We had one goal, we had one target, and we were going to win the league. And we had a flag, and we put 3 when we won our first match, then 6, then 9, and we kept totaling the points up, and we took it to all our home games. It went up on the wall. All our away games, it was put up with blue tack. And after the game, when we won again, because we used to win every game, we'd add another 3 points up. So then we got to 47 points. Then it was 50 points. And all of a sudden, we got into 90 odd points. And all of a sudden, we're like, flipping heck, we're getting closer and closer and closer. And the whole drive from start to finish, inside the dressing room, we were going to be champions. When I went outside and had to speak to the media, all that I said, reeled off all the time, and I told the players what I was going to say at the beginning. We will try to get as many points as we possibly can get, and let's see what happens. So I left it all open to the media and to the supporters and to the players' families and all that sort of stuff. But inside, it was a fierce determination that we were going to be champions. And I didn't want to be promoted. I did not want that promotion crap. I wanted to be a champion. We are going to be champions. For a champion, you get a gold medal. For a champion, you're the best team in the league. And that is what I wanted. I didn't want playoff crap. I didn't want to get involved in all that sort of stuff. Let's be champions and let's train for it. Let's work for it and let's support each other. Let's help each other. And the supporters, God bless, bought into it. And the supporters are going to be vital as well. They're going to be absolutely vital, because when Notts County are playing at home and they ain't playing very well, and it will happen, and you might go 1-0 down, what the supporters can make a difference to get your team over the line. And so the backing and support of your fans is absolutely crucial to be a champion.
Keith Locke says, you've got to love Martin Allen, my favourite manager ever, next to Jimmy Civil. Duncan Comrie says, Martin is just a legend. Chris Gosling agrees he most certainly is, Duncan. Chloe, what do you
pubs open up there?
Is what, sorry?
Are those two fellas in the pub?
Well, I don't know where they're watching. It's like they're on the little keyboards and there's little messages come up on my screen, you see. So I can see like what they're saying. Chloe, what do you reckon to all this? Are you watching and listening in awe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I wasn't on it, I'd be just sat here listening anyway. So it's brilliant that I can just interact, and it's great to listen to, because obviously this like directly impacts us. He's been there whilst I was a fan. It's great to listen to, and obviously it makes so much sense. Do you know what I mean? And it just makes me more excited for the season to carry on.
Chloe, can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
You work at Burnley Football Club, and you work in the ticket office, and you were working on the game on Saturday, and then you drove from Burnley down to Chesterfield for the game. Do your bosses know that you left early?
Oh yeah, there was no doubt about it. I was either not going to work at Burnley that day, or they were going to let me go. So I do my fair share of overtime. So I think.
You you didn't pull a fast one?
Oh no, never. But we're at home, so when we play Wrexham, Burnley are at home, and they know that I'm eyeing up that game to get moved, either ours or theirs. One of them needs to get moved, because there's no way that I'm going to be missing that game. But no.
Oh, so you didn't bunk off then?
No. I was there half an hour early to have my fair share. So they know I'm.
When that young managerial whippersnapper, Vincent Kompany, comes into your ticket office tomorrow, Chloe, you can say, I was on a podcast tonight with a top manager that's got several titles to his name, and you can tell Vincent who you've been chatting to.
Yeah, well, he's never come into the office yet, but I'll be sure to let him know if he does.
He's never been a champion, has he?
Keith Locke says, I'm not in the pub, I'm eating my tea. Chris Gosling, not in the pub either, but would love to go out for a pint with Martin. What a night that would be. Andrew Blatherwick asks, and I know you're not massively partial to the nickname that you've been given, and I kind of know the answer to this, but I've kind of forgotten it. So I'm going to ask it, and you might get funny with me, Martin. Mad Dog, the nickname. Does this come from your days as a midfielder at West Ham, yeah?
Yeah, it was just briefly. It was in the times where the Sun newspaper, everybody read the Sun newspaper, And on the front page of the Sun newspaper, there was a full page picture of one of these dogs that had been imported from America, and I think it savaged another child. Not that dog, but one of several of these dogs that had come into our country had been really naughty dogs and bit people and kids. So anyway, there was a big thing to try and ban them. That was on a Saturday morning that came out, that publication. On the Saturday afternoon, West Ham were playing at home, and sadly or accidentally, and I didn't do it on purpose, I injured one of the opposition players. And I used to froth at the mouth when I get sort of excited when I used to play football. I used to get, and I had a skinhead because my son Charlie had alopecia when he was a little boy. And Ian Bishop, the other midfield player at West Ham,
had the long hair, didn't he?
Yeah,
the long hair.
Yeah. He was a total opposite to me. He was a nice person, and he could do drawings, he could do paintings, he could sing songs, he could write songs. He'd always have a smile on his face. He wouldn't ever want to hurt anybody, and I was the complete opposite. So their player was down injured. The physio was on, and I had all this froth around my mouth. I had a skinhead, and Ian Bishop looked across. He said, "Matt, you look like one of them mad dogs from the Sun newspaper." And I sort of looked at him and sort of said, "Flip off." Not quite flip, but he laughed. And then he said, "You've got all froth around your mouth. What you need to..." And again, I told him to flip off. Just left it there, obviously. Well, he told Trevor Morley, and there was people in the terrace there at West Ham called the Chicken Run, which is really close to the pitch, really close. Yeah. And then one of those fans picked up on it, and he told the fanzine at West Ham, some lads that used to write one of these little fanzine book things. Yeah. And that's how it got out, and that's how it, that's how it all started. And I don't mind it, Paul. I'm absolutely fine with it. But I don't like when people. Well, I can be anywhere. I could be anywhere, and people just walk up. They don't call me Martin. They just say, "Hello, Mad Dog. How are you?" And I'll be filling up with petrol on the M6 or something up near Stoke, and I look around and sort of, "What? What did you say? Mad Dog, innit? Are you Mad Dog?" So it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. And I don't know. But one of my friends said, "What a compliment." I said, "What do you mean by that? A compliment?" He said, "Well, how many other people in football have got a nickname that's carried through all through management to where you are now?" He said, "Everybody knows you as Mad Dog." He said, "It's well known." I still find it a bit weird.
Some people might say it's a bit weird. Others would kind of almost half expect it. Neil Warnock, great Notts County manager, at the age of 74, having said he was done with football, would never ever take another managerial job, was today unveiled as manager of Huddersfield until the end of the season on a short-term contract. You look very well. You might be, I know you're dyeing your hair a bit, but anyway, that's all right.
There's no way I'm ever going to dye my hair, is there?
You have a go at this, I'll have a go at you. Would you come back, or are you happy and content now, and you've paid your managerial dues, or not, as the case may be?
Paul, I did 22 years, and I fulfilled my dream of being a champion. That was my goal. I had to be a champion. And my son George, who's a very clever man, very bright, and he said to me a few years ago, he said, "Dad, you need to have a good rethink about your job and how you go about your business." And I listen to George. When George tells me something, I do listen. He's all there with philosophy. He's brilliant at maths. He's brilliant at philosophy and all that. And he said, "Dad," he said, "all the clubs that you've managed to get them out of trouble and save them from relegation and turn them round." He said, "You need to think and work out how you're going to get a club promoted and get that on your CV and ultimately be a champion." He said because the rewards for getting teams out of relegation, and I must admit, don't need to BS anybody. That's worked pretty well because it happened when I was at your Notts County. And then building a team and getting a way of playing that was going to be work for a whole season, and that's what I studied and worked damned hard on training sessions, on training plans, on player recruitment, and how I could work it that we would play with 4 defenders, 1 holding midfield player, 3 midfield players, a left, a central, and a right, not on the wings but tucked inside, and then 2 up front. And one of those up front would obviously come back in and help and play in a kind of a number 10 Harry Kane type role. And the other centre forward, his job would try to be to stretch the opposition, to go in behind fullbacks. So we could also play passing football, but we could also play away where we could get behind the opposition. So that's what we practiced. That's what we trained on. And oh my God, for the 2 years we had doing it at Barnet, it was it just worked fantastically well. And then to Gillingham as well, it worked. And I was in the process of putting that together at Notts County. And we had the players, because don't forget there was about 5 or 6 senior players that would have been leaving at the end of that season on good money. And if I'd have reduced that amount of 5 players and probably had the money with 2 or 3 good players that could fit in with my system of play, then I think we would have we'd have absolutely stormed it. But hey ho, they didn't give me the opportunity. And despite offering me a new contract 2 months before they sacked me, as you knew about, Paul, 2 months before they sacked me, it was an absolute ridiculous situation to have it taken away, and I was devastated when it happened.
Yeah, and I think I remember being in your office and you had the little whiteboard, didn't you? And you were talking about that recruitment process that was going to take place. So clearly you were thinking ahead. And I think it's difficult for you to talk about it, but I think, we would all know that wheels had been set in motion for your successor while you were still in situ.
I know, yeah.
Is one way of putting it. And and it probably wasn't massively dissimilar situation to Neil Ardley to when Ian Birchinall got the job either. I think most people knew things were going to happen, and to this day, there is a huge amount of affinity with you, not just at Notts, I'm sure, and we'll talk about Barnet in a minute and their recent run, but Barnet as a Gillingham fan been on the message boards this evening. Josh Brown says, I'd love Martin back at the Lane one day in some capacity. Great man and manager. Remember him meeting him at a night out at the Approach. Yeah, remember that when you did the Q&A? Athenian Pie, he's in Greece somewhere. Pretending I'm in the pub with you all, just sat on the balcony. Thank you for the fantastic memories, Martin. And as always, another great coup for the broadcast. Well, I'm not sure about that, but it's always lovely to have you on, Martin. We've had a couple of people asking as well. We know, we've heard the Mad Dog story. That's been explained. Now, you love your Mutleys. We all Notts fans.
Love my what?
Mutleys. Dastardly a Mutley. Dog. Mutley.
Oh, right.
Thought you bloody know that one. We know you love your Mutleys. And there's probably been quite a few people listening tonight that were asked to walk Monty at away games. I seem to remember that was one of the things where you'd see a Notts fan walking. I don't know whether you ever asked Chloe, but a Notts fan will be asked to walk Monty around the away ground about an hour before kickoff. Now, Monty's sadly gone upstairs. Did you have a Dachshund? I can't remember. Where are you? We were all very interested in your little doggies.
Yeah, I've got Dennis.
Might be making an appearance in a minute.
I've got Dennis with me.
Dennis? Is he
Dennis. No, it's
Dennis.
Labrador. Up. Boy, up. Yeah, look. Up. Come on, it's a biscuit. Come on, up. No, up. Get up. Notts County fans want to see you. Come here. Here he is.
He's not a Dachshund. He's a Labrador. He's another Labrador, yeah. Oh,
So Dennis is the substitute. He's £1 million signing, and he's great company. He's a lovely dog. He's full of energy. He's lovely dog, lovely boy. Yeah, and Bill's around. He's doing well. Yeah, all good. All good.
He's still the little Dachshund.
He's a dachshund, yeah.
Yes.
And Dennis is 3.5 now. So yeah, good company, good fun. And one of the good things about having a dog around the training ground is because if you see a manager, you ready, with this horrible face on and walking all stressed out every day and uptight and like at the edge of his tether, or they see the manager walking around with his happy dog. Dennis had a football of his own because he punctured one, so we just gave him the punctured football. And all the I used to kick the ball about with the dog, walk about, say hello to everybody, and try to be relaxed, calm, confident, assured, a leader from a little bit afar, and try to make it all good. And at Gillingham, God bless, he used to come on the training pitch every day. We'd do training sessions, and he'd be running around, and the lads would be looking, going, "For God's sake, what the is going on?" And I would just let him. I would do my work, and he would be running around while the training sessions were going on. But instead of me getting arsey, they all liked it, and they all laughed, and they thought it was funny. If I then needed to do something serious, I'd put him on a lead and take him over to the side and give him to the physio to look after. But overall, it was done with a reason. I didn't just walk him up there for fun. I did it to enhance the atmosphere and the nice family training ground. That was why I did it. So I suppose you could say that's me being mad dog. Or you could say, as my son would say, that's a very good good thinking. Good thinking. That's how you need to be. I suppose it depends on how you look at it.
Am I right in thinking Monty got you into trouble at Notts?
He pissed on the corner flag, didn't he?
And you got into trouble for that, didn't you?
Yeah.
What happened?
Someone called me in their office and said, "Oh, you've the dog's pissed on the corner flag." So I said, "Yeah, I'm ever so sorry. I'll water it." What can you say? What can you say? He used to run around everywhere, but again, it used to be part of the act. It used to be part of my persona, part of my. I didn't do it because Brian Clough did it. I did it. Well, I probably did because I loved Brian Clough, and I still love Brian Clough. I didn't do it because of Brian Clough, but I loved the way his values and principles that he laid out all those years ago, and I just loved it, and I still do. If people want to get angry about that and get upset about that, then that's fine. Let them get on with that. What do these people know about football? Absolutely zero. And they're in charge of my destiny, and they know absolutely zero.
When we had you on the show last year,
Chloe, why are you smiling?
I'm just sat here enjoying the show. It's brilliant.
These dog biscuits are lovely.
Oh dear. Last year we had you on the show, Martin, and we were talking about Notts' approach, a very data-driven approach, specialist-free set-piece coach, and that sort of thing. And I think it's fair to say you weren't massively over-enamoured. And I think you did say we wouldn't go up last year, and you're absolutely right. I think you spoke about us conceding too many goals.
Yeah.
I think this year um, with Luke Williams and Ryan Harley. Notts have definitely become much more resilient. Much more. Although there's a predominantly passing-based game, tough to beat. Win ugly. One of my favourite phrases. Now Luke is a Londoner, isn't he? He's from sort of like Essex side. Have you ever come across Luke much at all, or not? Is there a bit of a London mafia or not there?
No, don't know him. Know of him. He's done really well. Love what he's doing at Notts County. Love it. His interviews I like. I like the way he carries himself, conducts himself. He was never a footballer, was he? But it's neither here nor there.
He was youth team, and I think he got a bad knee injury. I think actually he played a little bit at Bristol, runner-up Brovely.
Yeah, well, it don't matter about having a football career. Jose Mourinho was useless, wasn't he? He was just like, he was an interpreter. He's like a nerd at school that couldn't play football, that knew all the languages, and he picked it all up. And he was an interpreter for Bobby Robson at Barcelona, and that's how he got going. And I'm not putting Luke into that bracket, of course, but no, he's done really well. He's done really well, and now he's got for his career, he's got a big few months ahead of him. Because if you get to be a champion on your CV from that division, then you are doing well. That's an hard division to win. That is. There he is.
Hey.
With a biscuit, boy. Happy.
How would you compare and contrast the two managers that are going in this head-to-head? We spoke a bit about squads, and you need a goal scorer. You have in Phil Parkinson, a man. I don't know whether he's a champion like you, Martin, but he's got several promotions on his CV, and he's been around a while. And then you have Luke Williams, who a short stint at Swindon apart has largely been a number two. This is his, as you've alluded to, a really big chance for him. Should we or shouldn't we read anything into kind of two managers at kind of very different stages of their career?
Well, Phil's been very successful. I was a first team coach at Reading when Phil was a player. I was a Reading supporter living near Reading, and I used to watch Phil play. Wholehearted, fantastic midfield player. Tackles, fantastic player. I've got to know him now over the years, be going up against him. Really good manager, really good man manager, really good recruiter. I think he's handling Wrexham extremely well, extremely professionally. His interviews, the amount of games that they're having, I think he comes across really, really well. He has got a tough job, by the way. Having all the circus around him, that makes it a much tougher job for Phil. And with the amount of games that they've had, which has been fantastic.
Well, that was the only way Martin Allen was ever going to be stopped in full flow, wasn't it, Chloe? Not by me, not by you, but by technological gremlins. I'm sure Martin will now be dialing back in. Right, okay. So, mad dash from Burnley, mad dash home. Was it worth it in the away end?
Oh, I mean, it was brilliant. It's great to be a part of, isn't it? Like we've said, we've talked about derby days, and I mean, it was the result we were all praying for. And we've said before what a tough ground it is to go to. So it was just like an elation at the end. It was the last 20 minutes, especially with the 7 added on the end. I don't think I breathed for a while, and it was just the biggest sigh of relief at the end because, like you say, it was a tough game, but just the result. And I mean, you saw the way that the players celebrated. I mean, Langstaff fell to his knees, and I think we know why that was with him missing the one-on-one. He was probably just as relieved as we were that Chickson scored. But yeah, it was brilliant and definitely worth it. And what I'll be doing again.
Well, we hope so. Tuesday night, tomorrow night, Martin. We're recording this on Monday. Your old team, Barnet, coming. Now, in the last 10 games, Wrexham won 9, drawn 1. Notts and Barnet won 8, drawn 2. Has it surprised you what Barnet have been able to achieve this year and the run that they're currently enjoying?
No, they've got a good manager, Dean Brennan. He knows players. And Barnet Football Club, there's a lot of clubs around Barnet Football Club. There's a big catchment area of players. You know, like there's loads of clubs. So there's loads of players. It's not like if you lived at Swindon where you ain't got nothing for 30 miles either side, like Reading, and then there's Bristol and Southampton's like another hour down there. At Barnet, there's clubs everywhere. So that means there's players everywhere and you can get players. He knows players. And from what I've heard, he's done a brilliant job. He has done. What a surprise it is to see Barnet doing what they're doing. And of course, I'm delighted with that. And that's a tough game. I'll tell you what, that's a tough game going up against them.
I was going to ask you because they went up to Scunthorpe, who've signed a load of players, won 3-1 up there on a Friday night. Great result. How tough is it for Notts tomorrow night with Barnet on such a remarkable run at the minute? Well, equal with Notts on current form, which is saying something.
Well, I think it was interesting listening to Chloe and seeing the players' relief, perhaps ecstatic celebration on Saturday's game. I thought that was interesting. If you can imagine going into such a big game and a derby game like that against Chesterfield is a really big match. You know, I've been involved in that one, and that's a real big match between the supporters. Yeah. And then you come out with that win, and then you come out with all that relief. Chloe said that she couldn't breathe for 7 minutes after the game, I think, because she was so, oh my God, that was the most amazing day out. Well, the players would have been feeling exactly the same. But it's how the players deal with it and how the players cope with it and how the manager and players deal with that. It's another game. It's only 3 points. You can't get more than 3 points. Deal with it. Don't throw a party and have such and pop champagne. And if you don't win the game, don't get the tablets out. Just be the same. Go and play the game. Go and win the game and move on to the next one. The celebration and falling to the floor and that feeling of not being able to breathe when you finish the game because the referees played 7 minutes. Have that feeling when the competition finishes. And that is after the last game of the season, not now. Does that make sense? You don't win the championship this weekend. Once you've got 96 points, which should be enough to win it, let's get 96 and let's pop the champagne and then we'll celebrate on the pitch and we'll fall on the floor like Charlie George in that cup final and celebrate together.
Final one, Martin, coming up to the hour now. As there is only one automatic promotion spot, clearly if Wrexham go up, Notts don't. If Notts go up as champions, Wrexham don't. So the other team is then in the playoffs. Psychologically, how difficult do you think it is for the team that finishes runner-up in this particular season, the way things are going? How difficult do you think a playoff campaign could be for the team that finishes second?
Yeah, I think it would be difficult. Bristol runners-up Rovers went into that scenario to play in the playoffs, and they went through and they went to Wembley and won. And I must admit, I was delighted for him. I like the manager. I like the way he conducted himself. Despite all the money they'd spent, they were nowhere near as good as us. Go
on,
and I sent him a picture of the gold medal when we got that as well. It depends. It depends. I think because we were top of the league the whole season, if we'd have had to go into the playoffs, it'd have been tough. They got close, but never went past us. We always managed to stay ahead of them. If it had been the other way round and we'd have been the going into the playoffs, I'm not sure that we would have been able to win it.
Really?
I'm not sure I could have got the players up to the level they needed to be at, because we were holding it in our own hand and it had been snatched away from us. I'm not sure we could have handled it.
You still believe, from the way you're talking, psychology, mentality, those sorts of things are still hugely important in the 3 or 4 years that you've been out of the game. Every club from Southern League Premier up now have data analysts and all that. You still think that the whole psychology bit and motivation is still absolutely critical?
Yeah, absolutely. Data and all that is absolutely crucial as well. Get on board with all that sort of stuff. I mean, Gordon Bennett, just look at Brentford Football Club and what they've done. Their data analysis and their staff and team of people on recruitment, data analysis and sports science and fitness, and their set play coaches. Oh my God, go and watch Brentford play. It's like unbelievable. Yes, they've got good players, but on set plays, there's no one better than set plays. Brentford's set play coach got headhunted and went to Man City about 3 years ago. Their next set play coach that came in got headhunted, and I think, I stand to be corrected, he went to Liverpool. Their current guy that's working for Brentford on set plays for and against, oh my God, have a look at Brentford's last 15 goals. They haven't lost a game for 10 matches, by the way, in the Premier League. See how many goals they score from set plays. It's absolutely crucial part of football. And as this season goes by from now to the end, there'll be a lot of games that get won by set plays, changing games.
Because you had Alan Sheehan, who delivered a brilliant ball, didn't he? All footballers have got great skill, but Sheehan with that left foot, I don't think. I know, bold statement. I don't think we've had a better striker of a dead ball than Alan Sheehan since Alan left. Can't think of one.
Well, he wasn't even in the team, was he? He wasn't even subbed. Everyone thought he was a nutter, and everyone thought he was useless, and he had a bad attitude. When I got there, no one could believe that he was actually playing. And I'm not talking about the supporters. I'm talking about the nuggets that were above me. And when I put him in the team and told him that he was going to play every game, and I knew he was a bit of a nutcase, but I kind of liked him. He had an edge to him. He was 100%. He was full on, and he'd have definitely been one of the players that I'd have kept. And I actually thought about taking him onto the staff. When I went back up north, I thought he'd have been, because he's such a great character. He's a real character. He's a personality. He's got self-belief, and he's got a swagger, and he's got a will to win. And if I said to him, jump, he'd say, how I? I just loved him to bits. And I haven't spoken to him for a while, but if I needed anything or rang him, I know he'd be there for me. Special. He's a special guy.
Yeah. Well, the points that you make about Alan are all validated by the fact he went on to be a title winner with Luton, went on to the coaching staff at Luton, and I think I'm right in saying Nathan Jones took him to Southampton as part of his coaching staff, and obviously Alan, literally a couple of days ago, left Southampton with Nathan Jones, but clearly other people rate him very highly as well.
He's diamond guy. But like I say, when I got to Notts County, I don't even think he was in the reserves, or youth team or something. He was like binned. He was, alienated as useless.
Martin, it's been absolute pleasure talking to you. Chloe, a few final words from you on the basis you've been in the shadows tonight.
No, I mean, it's just brilliant just to get just an insight on what you've done at Notts, and it's brilliant that you can just obviously come on to something like this, and we all really appreciate it. And I know I can speak for everyone that's listening tonight and everyone that will watch it in the future. It'll be certainly for one of the memory books, this one for me. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, just before we go, Chloe, On that last game of the season, we were playing Brighton at home, and I was staying in the Hilton Hotel right in the town centre, and I was right up on the top floor and had a small window, like I'm sort of looking out now, small window. And outside the window, there was like metal spikes coming up like my fingers, so the pigeons wouldn't land on the metal spikes. And it had those shutters. It didn't have windows that opened that way. It had shutters that went up like that. And I was awake about 5 a.m. I was ready for the game already. As you can imagine, I was totally hyper. So I was sitting there, I made a cup of coffee in the room, and I was looking out, and I was looking across Nottingham and the whole city on my own. And I sat there for about an hour. And I was just dreaming of the game against Brighton, it was. They were the champions.
And we needed a point to stay up, otherwise we'd be relegated. That was a sense.
Yeah. And I knew at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and sitting in that bedroom looking out over Nottingham, that we were going to beat them or get something. There was no way that we could not. And I stayed awake all the way through to the game. After the game, I was so tired. You can imagine, absolutely exhausted. I got back to the Hilton about 6:30. I was asleep by 7, and I slept all through the night through to the next day. Phone off. Woke up the next morning about 8 o'clock. Looked back out the window, and I thought, oh my God, we've done it. It was just the most amazing feeling. Amazing. That day, that night. And Brighton, who were top of the league, I think, had won the league already, the champions, and we absolutely mashed them. And Meadow Lane was absolutely bouncing with fans, and it was just a brilliant occasion. One of the highlights of my career, I think. Anyway, just coming to my head, that mad moment. So God bless all you. Good luck to all the Notts County fans, and I hope it all goes well for you both.
Martin, absolute pleasure as always. Thank you. Take care,
Bye,
Martin.
Chloe. Bye, Paul.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. So, closing words, Chloe. You can get a few words in now. You can get a few. What did you reckon to that?
It's just brilliant. I mean, it's just a great storyteller. I mean, it's been documented in books and obviously his previous interview, but just to get a chance to just listen to him, he's always got something different to say, and it's brilliant to get a perspective of like a manager that's been there and done that, but also is still looking on today and how the game's moving on, and it's brilliant to listen to his perspective.
Wayne Wilkins, who I think normally dials in from Barcelona. I want some of what Mad Dogs had. Chris Gossing, the niggling worries that a playoff campaign would bring us possibly against Chesterfield again. We got under their skin Saturday, will be even more explosive if we met again. Andrew Racing says Ben Davies was a decent dead ball striker. He was, and was around the same time as Sheehan. Jurgen Halligan, all-time left-footed great Ray O'Brien. You'll have never heard of him, Chloe. Your granddad would remember him. We're going back to the 70s then. What else have we got? Anything else that needs reading out? Remy Sky has been dining in from New York. Remy, good to hear. Hope all is well over in Manhattan. Andrew Racing adds, if someone who's had a mediocre to non-existent playing career, chances are they'll have a decent managerial career, whereas good to elite footballers will more likely be rubbish managers. Not Vincent Kompany at Burnley at the moment, Chloe, certainly. Andrew Blatherwick says, Warnock wasn't much of a footballer. He'd probably disagree with you, Andrew. Sven Goran Eriksson wasn't top level as a player either. I think we're coming down to the end of the show tonight. Josh Brown says, we need to win it, in my opinion. We can't do playoffs again. What's your gut telling you, Chloe?
I so desperately want to win it. Don't get me wrong, you want to win every year, but we've not been top. I don't remember us being top at all in the National League. I mean, it might have happened for a game or so, but it's just and it's carried on all season. I think it's so difficult because the thing for me is everyone will say, the managers, the players in our league, that we're so different when you match us and Wrexham up with the style of play and how we go about our game. They're relentless. Like, even if they don't play well, you'll speak to their fans, and everybody knows it because you watch, and I'm sure a lot of people are the same as me. And you're refreshing the Wrexham score, and you're refreshing it, and it goes into the last 5 minutes, and the same thing happens every week. Can they keep it up? They've done it for a long time now. They've done it all season long up to this point. Can they keep going to win games in the last minute? And can we carry on playing as well as we are? I would absolutely love to win it, and I can't take playoffs. I think like Martin says, it's difficult to know what the players are thinking and everything in the dressing room. I think we've got a great mentality this season. I really do think that they're not. I don't think they're over the top with their celebrations. Obviously, they're all like happy when we win and everything, but does seem to be on to the next game. On to the next game. It's another one. Don't get me wrong, the Chesterfield one was a great win, but again, like Martin said, on to the next game. And I think we've got that mentality. But do we struggle in the playoffs? It's going to be so difficult when it's going to be such a high points tally, and I think you'll be within 5 points of each other. Whoever wins the league, I reckon second will be within 5 points of top. So to take that, especially if it comes down to the last 4 or 5 games in which we play Wrexham, I think it's going to go to the wire. I can't see anyone dropping off drastically now. Both are going to drop points, of course. And the game at Wrexham will be the biggest of the season, no doubt, because it'll still mean something by that point, in my opinion. Though whoever drops into the playoffs, it's a bigger mentality game than getting to the last game of the season, I think, because you've got to pick yourselves back up because, like you say, we could both get to 100 points and one of them misses out. So obviously your skills going to take you there. They'll be bang on favourites, whoever does get into that playoff to go and win it. It's a game less as well than some people will play with you being in that semi-final. But look at what Grimsby did. You just take that motivation. It just takes you all the way through. So it'll be interesting. My heart's set on us winning it. It absolutely is. I just hope it can come true.
Let's end on a positive. Fighting tour, exactly the right spirit from Ian Cooksey. We will do it. This manager will take us up. On that note, we'll wrap up the show for tonight. Thank you very much, Chloe. Thank you very much, Martin, who's already disappeared. He's probably out walking Dennis the Dachshund, and was it Bill the Dachshund and Dennis the Labrador? I can't remember. Anyway, Martin's probably having his tea of Bonios at the minute. Chloe, thank you very much. Keep selling them Burnley tickets. Plenty of them to sell. Burnley and Notts County promote title double. How about that?
Oh, I mean, couldn't sum it up better if I said it myself.
Very good. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you all for all your thoughts and views. We'll be back later in the week after Barnet. But thanks again and look forward to catching up soon. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.